Yo, what is up, everyone? This is episode 29 of the Glimmer cast, and tonight we'll be talking about cloud stream gaming. And without further ado, we'll be joining us who will be joining me tonight is my good friend Retro Complex Ken, Original Seed from Potion Sword Run, Devin from Yield Nerdcast, and not your first time on the channel, because you did play Mario Kart with me on the channel, but your first time on a podcast, Xander Skullion. And we will also potentially be joined later on by Vito and TonyTGD of the Geek Getaway. And they may pop in later on after we get the ball rolling. So yeah, how's everyone doing? Ken, Original Seed, Devin, Xander, how's y'all week been so far with all this news and all these announcements happening?
First. For me, everything has been fine, amazing. I've been working a lot in the room, like already put new lights and everything, so that's all I've been doing.
No, for sure. And how about you, Original Seed?
I have just been soaking everything in, playing video games, enjoying my life. I like your background. It looks nifty. I think I should start putting some lights on my background too. I have some time, so I'm gonna start shopping. Nice. That's just me chilling.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, Devin, how have you been this week with all these announcements and stuff like that?
I've been all right. I'm just trying to, recalibrate my mind to understanding all of these subscription services, since I long since abandoned my Xbox Live and PlayStation Network accounts. So it was interesting to catch up on it at least.
No, definitely. Yeah, and I just am checking in with everyone in the chat. We've got Tony in the house, first one to comment. Master System Marceau, good to see you. Nicotina, what's up? Mike G, Geek Studios, Mattia Jovvik, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's very late over in your part of Europe where you're at. Dorkside in the house, good to see you, Luke. And Original Seed in the chat, hanging out with everyone. This is awesome. Max Leonards, how are you doing? I'm doing well. And Hominous, yeah, good to see you. Yeah, and Xander, how's your week been so far? I love all your posts about your model sets and you playing Kirby on your streams. It's been great getting to know you over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of Gunpla. I stopped for a month and I'm starting doing that. And yeah, I picked up the new Kirby and oh my God. So much fun, so charming. It's like breakfast cereal good.
Yes, so good.
No, definitely. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Kirby game. I played through the demo, both the wild mode and I guess it's the easier mode. So that was enough for me to be convinced to pick it up eventually. So yeah, I'm just a little overwhelmed with all the backlog of games that I've started on my channel that I still need to finish. So that's kind of what's holding me back from picking it up. But yeah, anyway, Tony, thank you so much for joining us. How have you been this week?
I've been all right. I've been a little busy. A little busy.
No, for sure. Yeah, I wanted to give you a heads up. So for tonight's topic, we're going to be diving into, or everyone giving y'all a heads up in the audience as well, cloud stream gaming. We've definitely gotten a bunch of new insight as far as what Sony is rolling out for their consumers as far as options to access legacy content. And if you're a follower of the channel for any longer than maybe a couple months or so, where I started ramping up my gaming discussions, you'll know that I'm a big advocate for physical media as well as access to legacy games as overall. So I have a lot of personal opinions about this topic, and that's why I'm glad I have a full cast of folks to be able to share their thoughts on the announcements too. But yeah, the first topic that we're going to get into, we'll just get into the PlayStation Plus premium tier announcement list and kind of go through that. So yeah, I just want to open it up to the panel to start. Whoever has the strongest, hottest take can definitely go first. What were y'all's thoughts when hearing about the announcement a couple days ago, or I think yesterday? Yeah, yesterday.
Yes.
I was confused, and I think all of us can agree. It was a very confusing kind of announcement. I wish they would have made a video or maybe a short little Sony press conference or something, because just reading it all and then watching other content creators talk about it, it's helped out a lot, but it was just very confusing. Like I was like, so I was trying to figure out which plan was which. How did it? And just the name of it, it's PlayStation Plus. You know?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's kind of confusing as far as like, okay, what additional or what changes can we expect based off of like this announcement, like the name being the same, but yet they're combining like PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus. Devin, I know that you have been following these developments as well, and I know you're not like the biggest fan of like streaming services, but I want to hear your take on it.
Well, I mean, yeah, kind of like to Xander's point, I was very confused too because they just put out like a giant list of bullet points. So I had to watch a video kind of explaining what it all was. And it was still a little confusing, but I never used PlayStation Now, so that was kind of something I had to learn about. It seems like this is just the way that the industry has been trying to move for a while. Like I remember when they announced the Xbox One, it was initially supposed to be like download only and be like a primarily online service, and then there was a big pushback against that, and they were like, "Oh, just kidding! It's going to be kind of like a weird merging of both physical media and having this online offering from our services." But Stadia, obviously, Google Stadia tried to move in that direction more too. It seems like the industry is trying really, really hard to make this a thing when I don't really know what the appetite for it is amongst consumers. But at some point or another, this will be the modus operandi for consoles moving forward. Mm-hmm. And it seems like Sony is just getting the big initial investment over with. Like this is a pain point in trying to force their fan base into accepting, what their business operation is going to be like going forward. So that's kind of my takeaway from it. Like, okay, they're taking their medicine and forcing it on the rest of us too, because this is probably just what it's going to be like from now on.
No, yeah, so that's what I'm feeling like too. For you, Tony, thank you for joining us. What are your takes on the announcement? Because I know you mentioned that you're not so much into playing older style games, you're more into newer ones. So is this method of like accessing newer content, are you in support of it, or do you have some criticisms of it?
Oh, well, first off, this new price is ridiculous. The $119 a year. That's insane for what they're offering, especially since backward compatibility was just basically taken off the table. You can't, even if you buy the disc version, you can't get the. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I think your mic cut out a bit.
Yeah. Computer's having trouble. It's raining over here.
Oh, I can hear you now, though. You're loud and clear.
What I was saying is, with the backwards compatibility already taken off the table, it's like they're trying to force you. If you want to play older games, you got to pay this exorbitant fee, and it's like I said, it's ridiculous for what they're giving you. It's not really value.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm feeling like too. Ken, I would love to hear your thoughts on the announcement initially.
And to go into that point too, they don't want you to emulate. These companies don't want you to emulate, but basically what they're doing is pushing you to emulate, because who's gonna pay that amount of price for an emulator? Like, I understand that a lot of people, because I heard this discussion, well, at least we're gonna be able to play the older games or whatever, but it's just not worth it, because at the end of the day, none of those games are ever gonna be yours. Like, and I keep on putting that point. This is gonna be really bad for collectors like me, for Raya, and whoever collects, because there's not gonna be no more physical. There's not gonna be something that you can own. At the end of the day, when PlayStation 5 goes away, bye games. So all the digital games that you have are gonna be gone.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point about the emulation, because I mean that's essentially what you're going to be doing with this service. It's all going to be emulation. So how good is the emulation going to be? Like, is the PS2 going to be up-res? Because I mean, PS2, PlayStation 1 games without those texture packs, they show a lot of age. And thinking about the younger generation, are they going to want to play Jumping Flash? Like, Jumping Flash is a rough looking game if you see it now, like on a newer television.
None of the new generation, because even though I have put my kids to play the games, and my kids play them and they enjoy them, but they go back to the old games, like, you're just gonna go and play Grand Theft Auto, I'm just gonna go play Fortnite, I'm just gonna play all these graphical games. So most of the new generation are gonna give a shit for it.
Really quick, I wanted to read Simon Stevens's comment, who I love his discourse on Twitter. He is always fun to hear his takes on the latest news. So Simon says, I like the look of Spartacus so far. It's not as good as Game Pass, but it'll probably improve over time. But I hope not, because the drop the soap in the shower Sony memes are really fucking funny. All right, fair enough. Thank you so much, Simon. Always a pleasure. Tommy Uyamiko in the house. No more physical, please. There's way more plastic in the oceans than you guys realize. Oh, that's definitely a good point. That's like a totally valid point.
Last night on my stream, I was also looking at like the bullet points of this and ranting at various implications of what this move might be. And I came to the conclusion that there could be a compelling case to be made that this is actually a very eco-friendly move. Like, I would actually like to see the comparison between the carbon footprint of manufacturing a game on a disc or a cartridge versus the carbon footprint of, you know, operating those cloud servers whenever someone accesses a game over the internet. Like, I'm curious as to what that impact actually is. I'm willing to bet that the cloud service is less than, you know, physically manufacturing something and then shipping it somewhere.
But to run a server, you need electricity, and to run electricity, you need gas.
And that's what I'm saying. And also, over the lifetime of that service, like, once I have that physical copy of that game, that's it. Like, I can pop that on my disc and play, or pop that in my system and play it whenever, over and over and over again. And other than the amount of electricity that I'm using in order to operate the machine, it's not really super carbon impactful versus what it's going to take. I remember seeing an article about the carbon footprint of like a GitHub submission, you know, and like how incredibly, you know, power inducive even little simple stuff like that is. So like, I think that there can be a case to be made, but I would like to see a more in-depth study on that case.
Yeah, there was a recent case that I heard about somebody that had a factory full of hard drives, crypto mining, I think they were doing, and there was something that was happening because radioactivity or something like that. They were detecting something. I forgot the news how it goes, but I just know the firefighters and a bunch of people went to this warehouse, and what they found was a bunch of different computer connected crypto mining. So imagine.
Yeah, no, like Devin raises a good point. Like, I'm wondering, like, is the physical production and delivery of a game in a package like the same carbon footprint of like an NFT, like, or things like that? Like, I don't know. I'm just sort of like thinking about that out loud. But yeah, Original Seed, I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this announcement. I know you are kind of a big critic of Sony, being a big fan of Microsoft, so I'm eager to hear your thoughts.
Seeing like the controllers in the background.
I've had every PlayStation console except for the PlayStation 4. I have a PlayStation 5. I was an early adopter. I love her. Okay, I'm just saying. But I don't love her services at all. I don't like that she nickels and dimes me all the time. What this showed me was that Sony wants to charge me $70 for their games, and they want to charge me a service on top of that so I can get their Game Pass killer, which is not. Without having first-party games included in any of these price points, it's a total fail. You can't even compare it to Game Pass. The only thing that gives Game Pass its value is having those first-party titles. Because if you're going to buy Halo, that's $60, that's already half the year paid for. If you're going to buy Forza, that's another $60, that's already the whole year paid for. So I'm going to buy my first-party title games on Xbox no matter what. So might as well just have Game Pass and get them for free. And additional to all that gravy. But PlayStation doesn't want that. They want you to buy the turkey and then buy the gravy too. And so that is a total fail from a true person who doesn't collect actual physical media no more and only does digital. So this is speaking to me, and it's telling me that it just wants to take all my money as much as it can and not give me my value worth.
Well, I have a good question, because I just been recently doing live streams, and I've played PS Now. I've had that subscription before, and it was okay. I felt like a glorified like Blockbuster in my PS4.
Yeah.
But the thing I'm wondering is, like, for people like us who like live stream, like, is it really going to bog down our internet playing like streaming from a cloud game and streaming live stream? Like, I'm kind of confused on that.
I mean, if you have maybe sorry internet. I'm not sure because I mean my
Yeah.
internet is normal and I can live stream. I can do anything I want. I can play the cloud games on Xbox, or I can download them depending on whatever we want to do, and I can still stream them and chat and do. Yeah, so
it's all depending on how many people are connected to the internet at the same time, I think, because here sometimes I have problems even though I got 1 gigabyte of internet, but it's because I have so many stuff and my kids have so many stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you live in like in a house full of everything that's online,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you're gonna suck all that juice, and you're gonna have to maybe but I haven't. I mean, luxury,
Really quick, I wanted to read Jack's last comment because it is kind of getting my brain juices flowing a little bit. The systems were a way to keep computers moving into the homes of people who did not want the computer. So that's like a good point. Like you're getting like this more user-friendly economic, computer with like limited functionality, yet it does a specific task that that's pretty much reliable for you to continue to go back to it and, get that task, like whether it be like entertainment or gaming, etc. So yeah, I feel like consoles are kind of like moving away from being like these like stationary monoliths like the PS2 was and the original Xbox was, where it didn't rely so much on like cloud-based services or server maintenance and things like that. Like once it gets into like PS3 360 games onward and servers start to be pulled down, then that's when it's sort of like that what is the word, where a company like it antiquates their software in order to push you to upgrade. I forget what the term is for that, but essentially like they're forcing you to upgrade at that point when they no longer support your legacy content. So I wanted to kind of like get y'all's thoughts around like Sony and Microsoft offering access to the legacy content, but they're not offering any of, like, as far as I'm aware, a lot of like the DLC and server maintenance of like online play and things like that from like PS3 and 360, for example. Those aren't going to be available in cloud streaming. Ken, do you have any thoughts on that?
Wait, repeat that again. So the PS3 and the PS1 are going to be cloud, or we're not going to be cloud?
Well, PS3 is cloud, but then they PlayStation Plus Premium is going to offer the ability to download PS1, PS2, PSP. Okay. But I'm saying that like for web-based activity for those games, it's like online play and things that required like servers for those specific games. I don't know if that's going to be like incorporated into that same service.
But we kind of know what is going to happen because you already saw it with the Kingdom Hearts release on the Switch. There was cloud-based, and what was happening, the lag was awful. No matter what they try many stuff. They even give several days for what I know, and it's still having issues. That's what cloud gaming is. It's gonna always have issue. If you don't have an internet that is actually efficient and it's trash, forget about cloud gaming. There's no gonna be cloud gaming for nobody. Now, offering downloadable content for PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1. Once again, if we go back as a demo later, what is the point of me paying for that when I can get all this gamma of games in the internet? You understand, right?
Yeah, no, I think for games that offered the downloadable content, like the 360 games and the PS3 games, that's what I'm going to be really interested to see how they're going to support that with these online subscriptions. Sorry, I had to kind of like
I'm confused.
Word vomit and then kind of sort through the word vomit a little bit. Go ahead.
The Xbox already supports cloud gaming. Like it supports, it upscales the games on Xbox. So if you have these 360 games, you pop it in and you get upscale textures and all this stuff. The downloadable content. I have saves for my 360. I didn't even know I had once I put in the game on my Xbox Series X. So I mean, their cloud gaming just kind of works on Xbox. I'm not sure how they do it. I'm not sure what's going on behind their stuff.
Okay.
But
because I heard many rumors with other companies that it's not working at all.
No, it's not as good as like downloading it straight to your Xbox, which you can do on Game Pass. Like all those games on Game Pass, I download them to my Xbox. I don't have to worry about lag. I don't have to worry about none of that crapola. On PlayStation Plus, they have different tiers that allow you to have some games on cloud, but we don't know how reliable those are.
Yeah, no.
Like I have the choice on Xbox to take my games wherever I want if I want to do cloud gaming. all I do is get one of these controllers, log onto my Xbox anywhere, and I'm
even though I was gonna say about that because I've been playing how do you call that, the PlayStation version of that? What is the name?
Oh yeah. I know. It's like it's not the Play Share. I know what you're talking about though, because I tried to use that and I couldn't get it working too well on my end.
Like
actually, I've been playing on my laptop that way, and it's been working amazing. I have 1 or 2 hiccups here and there, but it's all depending on the internet.
I mean, that's the thing. It's not like the cloud gaming is an option that you don't even have to pay for on Game Pass, Xbox Live. It just works, you know. Getting all these upgrades that you have to pay $10 for PlayStation Plus and all this stuff for your games to look better, get better textures. You don't have to worry about that stuff on Xbox. You just put it in or download the game, and it just works. So that's why when I look at all these pricing points, I get confused too, because it's like, come on, guys, it just works on Xbox. You get all this stuff pretty much for free, plus the first title games. So why are you charging us different tiers? It just doesn't make sense to me. So that's kind of why I look at it and I'm like, And
really
the same thing, with cloud gaming, it's just cloud gaming is like not something that I'm interested either way. So
yeah, me either.
Yeah, like especially like in major cities like where I'm at, where the internet is constantly just going in and out because we're all kind of sharing like block long, access to the same like connection. And if I experience an outage, the whole block is experiencing an outage. So that's kind of like a drawback for me too. So Simon is saying like, yeah, I agree with that Potion Sword run. People on Twitter go crazy about Game Pass, but I just look at it. If I play 3 first-party games in a year, then my subscription has paid itself. Who cares? Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, to your point, like,
the only person that cares, I know, because you guys are on here, is the people who collect games. You guys care because, like you guys said, I've seen those little things on Twitter when they go around, people laughing at people who have Game Pass because after 5 years, they don't have no games to show for it. Funny, I get it. But the thing is, I'm not really I'm gonna die, so none of my stuff matters to me. You know what I mean? It's like it's there for a time, has a shelf life just like me. So that's the way I treat my entertainment. If I want more bang for my buck, I want to be able to get as much games as I can and pass as many as I can. That I don't need to own them. If I do want to go back and own them, I get a discount with Game Pass, a deep discount, or I can buy them cheap. Like I got that game that you recommended. I still haven't played it. The indie game for $2.99.
Yeah. Far.
You know what I mean? And part 2 is free on Game Pass. So once I pass that, I get to play both those games for $2.99 practically.
So in short, it's basically more about like playing more games rather than having like physical like embodiment representing your affinity for that game.
If I ever get the nostalgia to go back and own one of these games or whatever, play it, I do. I have options. And that's the thing. With Game Pass, you're not limited to just getting digital games and that's it. You have options, and that's what I want.
And another thing also, and because you always get a lot of people when they talk about physical media, they're like, physical media is going to last forever. I have a copy of Burning Oasis that has it's like dry rotting. Like, and I
was talking about that too.
I have games.
Clean those. Forget it.
Yeah. I mean, you have disc rot. I mean, that's going to happen. So I think it's really important that we have 2 mediums. We have digital and physical preservation because they really go hand in hand. Because I mean, like when the eShop was shutting down for the Wii, for like the Wii and all that stuff, and everyone was just like, oh, what are we gonna do? I'm like, just mod your Wii U. Just just do that. You can get all the games and put them on an external hard drive. Hey, you can make your own little custom SD card if you want.
But I think that is my problem with those companies, that if they only give you an option for you, okay, I bought this game, I'm gonna download it, but in the future, like Steam, if I want to re-download that again, Steam actually delist a lot of games. Steam is listing every second a game, and I still have my game in my list. I can download it, re-download it, because they have this little section on Steam that is basically, in a sense, it's my little world where I save my games and I can download it whenever I want, even if they got delisted. Other companies don't do that. Once they delist it, bye game. You're never gonna have that game again in your list. So that's my thing. Like, I pay $50, $70, $80 for a game that I never in my life are gonna be again able to be played. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, really quick. I wanted to make sure we allow Tony to hop in. Everyone's clamoring for Kermit in the chat. Any thoughts on some of the comments that we've been popping up on the screen and what we've shared so far about the feedback for the streaming service for PlayStation Plus in the different tiers?
Well, I think I'm one of the few people on the panel that doesn't actually collect games. I don't care about collecting. I care about playing. And I think Ken was saying something about he pays $50 for a game, plays it, then he's not going to have it no more. But what if you go to like an amusement park? You pay $50, $100 to go to an amusement park, but you don't get to take the amusement park home with you. You just have the memory.
But the thing, and they warn you at the beginning, you're going to pay for this day, and that's it. Again,
and they warn
you're
you
paying for
when you buy the
long
game
time
digitally
to have it. But you're paying for that digital. It's like me buying some music on Apple. That music is gonna be there for a long ass time because I pay for that music, and Apple is giving you the right of that music because you're paying for that right. You get what I'm saying?
But Xbox, PlayStation, they all warn you. It all says, hey, when it goes away, it goes away. You agree to pay the money. You take the chance. You roll the dice. You say, hey,
that's when I go against it. See, that's when I'm against it because I feel like it's not worth it. At the end of the day, let's suppose I want to show my kids that game, and I'm like, you know what? I used to play this game back in the day. Let me check if they still have it. No, there's nowhere to be found. And bye media, lost media.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, when you're talking about emulation, that's like saying, you know what? I can't afford to go to Disneyland, so I'm going to sneak my kids into Disneyland because I want them to experience Disneyland.
Yeah, but
I will. I will say one thing with the amusement park analogy. You know, you can get those pictures while you're on the ride.
That's so just a memory. You can take
exactly.
a picture of your game. Take a picture of you playing the game.
The point is that that's how lost media get lost because of this kind of thing. Like right now, let's talk about you want to talk about lost media? Let's talk about Doctor Who because the reason they didn't save those CD and they didn't let nobody have copies of those series. The huge chunk of the original Doctor Who is lost for history, lost completely.
Yeah, I must have it with Nosferatu as well. And that movie just became 100 years old. That's like a historic cinematic vampire movie. It was almost destroyed because of Bram Stoker's wife.
So people like us that collect, even though it sounds for many people sounds stupid, we are actually in a sense preserving that old content or that old media for future generations to see. Because believe it or not, here from 50 years forward, 100 years forward, I bet you somebody's gonna show somebody a movie from Titanic, a game from Nintendo.
Let me cut you off real quick, Ken. Yeah, you're saying, and I hear this argument a lot from collectors, we're preserving media for future generations.
Yeah.
So in 50 years, can my grandkids go to your house and play those games?
But maybe somebody's gonna have my collection and dump it. But maybe somebody's gonna have my collection and dump it on the internet, like many other people have done. They have found collections or games that they got lost by history and dump it on the internet. You can see there's a bunch of people who have done that. So basically,
there's a bunch of people that don't that collect under the auspices of I'm preserving, but they're not actually.
There's somebody who's gonna do it no matter what. There's always somebody. You can't think a bunch of people, but there's always one that's gonna dump that game.
I say seriously, if you want to talk preservation, if you're like, hey, we want to preserve games, why don't the gamers get together, lobby Congress, and have them pass an act like a game preservation act that says, hey, every game that's made, one copy has to be saved in a national archive.
I think they're actually doing that. I think they're actually somebody doing that right now.
Because we're renegades, Tony.
Give me a second. I will try.
That's why I say we libertize all games. I don't care how you play them, how you get to play them. You get whatever.
Advocating sailing the seven seas.
I'm saying right now, there's developers who are advocating for Russians to be able to download their games illegally because they have no way to get them. So I'm saying, hey, the more the merrier. I say if you can afford to buy the games, cool, go buy all the games. But if you can't,
I wish companies thought the same way that we're all conversing right now, because that's the biggest problem. The companies they don't think about it, because the way the world is like this instant gratification with the internet. And, you know, we're talking, you know, I don't know how old everyone is here, but I'm, you know, in my mid 30s. So I'm talking as someone that's in their mid 30s, someone who grew up before the internet, where, you know, if you have, you know, a younger generation, they just want to play Fortnite. That's all they want to do. They just want to play Fortnite. Mm-hmm. Now, when they turn, you know, 30, they'll be like, man, I remember, you know, flossing and being in a banana suit. I wish I can go back and do that. There should be a way for them to go back and floss in a banana suit.
I'm going to send this in private to Tony. This is a page that I'm talking about. This is one part of it. It's called the Internet Archive, where they archive most. Recently, I've been seeing a lot of DOS game and M-DOS. A lot of M-DOS are getting lost in history. And this website is actually archiving each one of them. So if you look there, you can look through the whole thing. And there's so much stuff that they're archiving in here that is ridiculous. They're like seriously ridiculous. And you can actually pay them if you want to.
That's pretty cool.
I'm gonna have to play I'm about to play Super Solver.
I'm being serious. That's what I'm saying. Like, I understand the point. Don't get me wrong. I understand that having digital is so much convenient because you don't have a fucking mess. You don't have dust collecting. You don't have dust collecting.
I don't have to get up.
Yeah, today I was dust collecting my whole room. Like, it took me a while to dust collect everything. Yeah, to dust clean everything, because it's true. You collected a bunch of crap in a room, but at the same time, if you think about it, recently there was a news that somebody found in a basement a bunch of Xbox games, if I can recall, a bunch full of Xbox games, and a few of them were weird ones. So guess what? Somebody grabbed them, and that person is trying to dump all those games into the internet, so people to have it for free. So that's. I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly, but that's what I like about collecting. Because in the future, maybe my kids, or maybe one of my kids is really savvy in the computer. It's scary. One of my kids is gonna be that one that's gonna go like, you know what? Let's put all this so people can play it for free. Fuck this people. You know, like fuck the people who want to charge for this here for free.
But I like the idea. I like that. I like what you're saying. Like, I get what you're saying, and I like where you're coming from. You know, you're collecting for the greater good. I see it. Yeah,
no, there's a lot more folks than I realized that actually do support the argument that like digital is keeping us from producing further waste on the planet. And I'm just like, well, I can't argue with that. But like, as far as like the media that already exists, you know, that's already like, you know, taken resources and like, you know, is already like compiled into products that we want to preserve. So I'm not like advocating like additional, you know, products being made necessarily. I'm just asking for better access to legacy content that is only found on these. Basically, what they're becoming is artifacts at this point if they're not being stored properly. Like, Ken, you made like a really cool short today about disk rot, and it's not necessarily that disk rot will happen to everyone. It's just like a matter of how you care for the media itself, which I thought was a really good point.
Yeah, well, so I actually did a full video kind of explaining how the disk rot works, and it's depending on the company that you buy it from. Like most of the company, if it's a really cheap company and they just go into the cheap to make money, they're gonna use the cheapest material for that CD. But it's really hard for disk rot to happen in really expensive CDs. Like, for example, in the video that I was doing, the Sankey DVD, that DVD is from 2011 or 2010 or even older. I don't even know how old. I've been with that for a long time. And I have a Blade Runner DVD too, the Director's Cut edition, and that is super old. I remember buying that. That is ancient.
Oh, is it a Laserdisc?
Yeah, and they still working like nothing.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Are y'all subscribers to the Nintendo Switch Online service?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty much almost everyone. So yeah, like I know it, like I even mentioned it before, like comparing the Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo offerings, it's like three different fruits, you know, like you're kind of getting different offerings. So it's not 100% fair to compare them, but I think it is in the grand scheme of like, if you are, you know, offering a streaming service for your legacy content and you want to make it that, if you're asking for like, you know, $50 to $120 a year, it is going to be ultimately the consumer's, you know, discretion to, you know, budget accordingly. Like, not everyone has like unlimited X amount of dollars for gaming as a hobby. Like, so they're going to weigh their options when it comes to those things. So
I will. I will say with the Switch Online, I was kind of thrown under the bus on that because I'm not a fan of the expansion pass. I think it's a wasteful service that they could be doing so much more with. The only reason I got it is because my subscription was about to run out, and the new Mario Kart, I was like, do I pay $24 or just go ahead and pay $50 and just suck it up, Buttercup? You know.
I think the only reason I have it is because of the playing with your friends. That's why I have the PlayStation and the Nintendo. I really don't like to pay for those services because I feel like I can do all that in Steam. Steam give you all that for free, and these people are charging you for it.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I wanted to just quickly show this chart to give folks like an easy breakdown. It's accessible through IGN. I linked the article in the description for folks who want to look at it. But essentially, it's kind of breaking down the value proposition for a lot of the different tiers of these streaming services. So the basic essential tiers, like those are always going to be available to pay monthly and then cancel at any time. But what's really fascinating is that what you get access to in the premium tier for PlayStation Plus, which just came out, you do get access to the PS3 games, and I think I mentioned this earlier, or some PS3 games that I'm under the assumption will continue to evolve as the library continues to be added upon. But you also get access to download to your actual console, the PSP games that are available, PS2, PS1 games. And there was some, contentious speculation around why aren't PS3 games, available to download and emulate natively on the hardware? We talked about how the PS5 doesn't have the ability to read discs. So even if PS3 game backward compatibility was added through a software update, physically the hardware does not have the ability to read those discs. So I did want to kind of circle back to that since one of our audience members brought that up and in an earlier comment. But any quick thoughts around the comparison and the value proposition of any of these services? Do you feel like comparing them is fair, or is it or are you compelled to choose one or the other? Ken, you can go first.
Yeah, no, I don't like it in general. I feel like they're trying, like Nintendo's always saying, no, we're gonna put more games, we're gonna put more games, and the game takes 3 or 4 months, and the Nintendo Switch is almost at the end of the lifespan. So that for me, it's just there's no worth in this. Mm-hmm. I think I will go with the Game Pass. The Game Pass, like Potion said, if they're gonna give me day one releases and mix up all stuff, then I can lean on that a little bit.
Original Seed, I know you said that you're not a fan of this chart. I want to hear your thoughts.
Not necessarily just this one, but obviously I prefer Game Pass on this because, the price per month, for example, if you really do play video games on an Xbox and you have Xbox Live or a Game Pass, you get points for playing games on Xbox. So the service can pay for itself if you redeem those points to go towards Game Pass. So essentially, you never have to pay. Me, if I because I play all the damn time, I never have to pay for Xbox Ultimate if I don't ever want to, because I just pay all my points. But I'm just saying, so there's a lot of variables that these graphs don't talk about. So that's why I'm not a fan of. They're just kind of, you can compare them because they are services that these people companies are offering, but there's a lot of different things that don't match up, that aren't necessarily they're not talking about. So it's just a vague graph for people to easy to understand, even though it's complicated. So I'm just saying, you kind of, it just doesn't tell the whole truth. That's why I'm not a fan of these graphs. Okay.
I did want to read Simon's comment. Switch Online is a bad value, but it's really cheap to the point that it goes out of my bank once a year and I don't even notice. Doesn't hurt my wallet, so I don't really care, but it still sucks. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I'm kind of in this where gaming is a leisure hobby for me that I budget accordingly for. So I personally, I'm only speaking for myself, I don't necessarily trip too much about the paying paying the upfront fee for a subscription service as long as I get access to the content that I want. Oh, the puppy footage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know other folks, like, they're not as fortunate or in as good of a circumstance, so they do have to choose either or. They can't have it all. But yeah, Xander, I want to hear your thoughts on the chart, or like the comparison, I should say.
Yeah, I can't really compare them because, I mean, I feel like it's all different, but I'll say this: like, I feel like if you have an Xbox and you don't have Game Pass, you're doing yourself a huge misservice. And I out of all of them, I really like Game Pass the most, and I think that's the most like economic choice, even for like parents who have gamers, you know, because you don't have to worry about losing the disc, you don't have to worry about this. They get the games day one. You don't have to worry about them. Like, I need to go to GameStop, and they're like trying to trade in their old sports titles because they want to get the new Madden. Like, new Madden's already ready for you. There you go. You know, like, and that's all kids want. You know, so I think that's a really good deal. I'm not a fan of the Nintendo Switch Online because, I mean, I would have rather have like GameCube instead of Sega Genesis. You know, because everything's on the Sega Genesis. You can get Sega Genesis. You can go to Dollar General and get at games if you really want Sega Genesis.
Good point.
But I mean, like, and the Sony thing, like, I'm just waiting to see what kind of selections they have, because like I was saying earlier, doing live streams, I am attracted to the concept of live streaming some PS2 stuff. Like, I would love to have like a Dark Cloud stream or Klonoa 2, which, I mean, that collection is about to come out, but there's some PS2 games I would like to live stream and have the convenience of just booting it up and not having to like hook up component cables to Elgato, you know. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, Tony, how about you? Do you subscribe to any of these services? And or if not, do you have any like objections against them?
I don't have an Xbox, so I don't got Game Pass, obviously. But I do got the PlayStation Plus, 2 free games a year, let you play online, and I got the Switch Online Pass, the cheap one, not the expansion. I don't need the extra games. And Nintendo 64, I never had one, so I don't have the nostalgia for it. Like they said about the Sega games, I already got all those games on a compilation disc. I got it on Steam and on the PlayStation.
Yeah, compilation game. Yeah.
Realistically, I think the price is it's overpriced on all of them, pretty much. I didn't know about that Xbox Game Pass point thing. They really should push that more, because I've never heard of this until Potion said it here. But that sounds like the best value.
Well, yeah, dude, I'm not joking. Like, I rent movies with my points. Right now, I have about 22,000 points. It's about $30. But with that $30, it could give me 2 months of Ultimate Game Pass, or I can just rent movies with it and just chill for nothing for playing video games, man. That's all it is. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I love Retro Bros comment. Potion, I had a PS5, sold it now, back to my PS4. Lol, my 3DO got more love than my PS5. He was playing Gex on his 3DO the other night. Simon Stevens says, depending on the PS2 games added, the value of Spartacus could shoot up. Like if they added the Shadow Hearts trilogy and other pricey JRPGs on the system, just depends what value is to you, I guess. And I agree with that. Like these, I want to say not region locked necessarily, but more just like games that like had limited runs in specific regions. Maybe they could give access to those if they wanted to put some money behind translations or something like that. That would be really cool. I doubt they would. They're probably going to pick like the lowest hanging fruit and like say, okay, what's the easiest to like throw on the streaming service today or like this month, which is what I've been seeing for like the Nintendo Switch Online service, for example, where just like these really like well-known games are at it, and it's not really incentivizing me because I've already kind of experienced them in the past.
It's bad to say, but I hate it when Nintendo releases new games for the Switch Online. I know that sounds really weird, but the reason why I hate it is because like nobody wants the games, and like all you hear is people just moaning and groaning about it. You know, it's just like there's no proactivity to it. They're like, okay, here's our 2 new games, Super Bass Fishing and Claymates. Let's go. And like everyone's like, dude, where's Chrono Trigger? Where's
oh man,
this,
people
that,
go
and the other.
people go ape shit for clay for that clay fighting game though.
What was the recent one that they was out and people were complaining still? What was? Oh my god, Mother.
Mm-hmm.
What was the name of that game? In
Live Alive.
No, the other one, Earthbound. Thank you. And people were complaining about it too. I was like, well, you got the game that you were asking about. I don't understand. Yeah, Nintendo
That's the internet for you.
Nintendo fans or something.
Claymates. Nice. Devin, like any like closing thoughts on like the comparison of the streaming services for you? Do you feel like one is greater value than the other? Do you find yourself like, choosing one or the other, or are you just like not a fan of any of them?
I think ultimately at the end of the day for me, like I really don't give a shit about anything that was listed beyond basically the back library of games. Like I don't have any of these services because usually if I want to buy a game, I end up ultimately now buying it on Steam anyways. Like these games are available on every platform, so it doesn't really matter where I go to get them. They're just usually available, wherever I want to play them at. But that's not the case for a lot of those old games. I still have a library of PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games on my shelf. But there were a lot of games that I had that I ended up, selling or trading into GameStop or, losing in a move somewhere. And, I do want to go back. I would love to go back and play those games, or those games that I don't even have, that I've never had access to before. Like Ogre Battle on the PlayStation 1. I don't know what the likelihood that game is ever going to be available on their service, but if it is, then being able to play that would be worth the cost of admission alone, let alone any variety of other games that I used to dump all of my hours into back in high school or college or whatever. So I think there is a lot of extra value in the PlayStation service just based off of that back catalog of games alone.
Yeah, no, I agree with Steven's comment in the chat. PlayStation threw down a spade with PSP games being added on the Ultimate tier. So many Japanese games, and yeah, like I would like Pie in the Sky Dreams. I would love for them to, bring them stateside with translations. I don't know if they would do that because that requires money. So they might want to try and dump the ROM as is on the streaming service. But you never know. Maybe they will. But
I think Nintendo does that with some games on Switch, right? I think I recall seeing some games that are just raw Japanese dumps.
There's a couple of like Switch Online games. I was like, oh, this is cool, and it even has the Super Famicom art on like the American account, and it's all in Japanese. But here's something that I want to ask maybe the folks in the chat. I wonder if these backlog games are going to have trophies.
That would be dope.
Oh yeah, I would love trophies and achievements.
Seriously,
I feel like that requires additional. Like,
that's all additional work. All of that's just going to be like, what is like the easiest route from point A to point B to get this game available for download?
Good money.
Totally.
It's like you get an achievement, you get a trophy for not losing insanity on like the long load times of like you can agree, like Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen.
Oh my god,
load time.
Our game has some crazy load time. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. If you die, then you have to wait like 2 hours before you can resume a save.
I had the script for Legacy of Kain. I have the script, and that's one of the points. Oh my god, the loading.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I wanted to really quick go through some comments in the chat. Thank you everyone for participating, making this a great discussion. Oh my Diaz just tipped $5. Hey panel people, hope the stream is fun. Hope your break is good as well. Thank you so much, Oh my Diaz. I'll be going out of town to New York City tomorrow. I'll be gone through Monday, so that will be really fun. A nice little break. And Simon says, I'll hold off on Spartacus for now, but I'm fickle as fuck. So if they add trophy support for PS1, PS2, and PSP, I'd sub for 12 months just to replay them and get the platinum. Yeah, exactly. That's what we were just talking about. And Super Ace Gamer in the house. We finally get the Kunio game for the SNES, which is dubbed River City Girls 0. Good point. Steven says trophies and unpressed graphics have been on their prior PS1 and 2 releases. Yeah, like if we do get that legacy content with like some additional features, I will be shocked. I did have a quick snippet where I still don't think that we will necessarily. It's nice to dream about and talk about and speculate, but from the horse's mouth themselves, Jim Ryan, I just wanted to go ahead and show this a quick snippet of, well, like, I don't want to read this whole like block of text, but essentially he is saying that putting our own games into this service or any of our services upon their release, i.e. new games for the PS5 day and date release. As you all know, this is not a road that we've gone down in the past, and it's not a road that we're going to go down with in this new service. So that's kind of like the main takeaway of that quote I wanted to share, because as optimistic as I am about access to legacy content, and I can't ignore the arguments like Original Seed, to your point, day and date release, your competitors are offering that and you're not. Sony, you're blatantly refusing to do it. In fact, like you're telling us right now that you're refusing to do that, even though like you're paying this exorbitant amount of money to be able to continue to play online, essentially.
And it's not even that, he's bullshitting you at the same time. He's saying the reason why he won't do it is because he believes the quality of the games are going to drop. And, you know, Sony first party games are, no, come on, man. Do you really think that Insomniac is going to not put their full power towards Wolverine because it's going to come out on PlayStation Plus? No, they're going to try to make it the best game possible because they're artists. That's what they do. So he's insulting his studios. He's insulting the gamers by this quote right here. So, I mean, I'm a cynic. I hear corporate talk. That's all I hear. And that's what it is. They want my money.
We feel if we were to do that with the games that we make at PlayStation Studios, that virtuous cycle will be broken. What the fuck does that even mean?
What is a virtuous cycle?
The level of investment that we need to make in our studios would not be possible. And we think the knock-on effect on the quality of games that we make would not be something that gamers want. What does any of that mean?
Oh yeah, and I love Modern Vintage Gamer's response. Vague tweets of big announcements. Prepare for disappointment.
Yeah, what he's wanting to do, he doesn't want to break the seal and have like Rita Repulsa come out, be like, after years I'm free.
Yeah,
all Ryan is saying is that if he puts it on PlayStation Plus, all these games, they're gonna have to invest less in the games. So you're gonna have crappier games coming out. They're not gonna pour in $10 million into a game they're giving you free. So he's only going to put in $3 million.
So now you're saying that I'm basically saying that Microsoft is better because Microsoft also is pouring all that money, plus giving you all stuff. That's a point that I get to Xbox.
Yeah, but stuff like Wolverine, they got to pay license fee and stuff. They can't just.
Wolverine is an example, though. I'm talking about any game.
And then
any
give it
game.
to you free.
I'm talking about any game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, studios aren't going to not put in their whole and their best towards any game. You can't invest as much, sure, then don't do PlayStation Plus then. Don't offer that service if you don't believe in it fully. If your first party games cannot float that service, if people aren't going to come in and give you their money, then it's just kill it. There's no need for it. Stick to the old service.
And wouldn't games like day one being released on a platform, that's a guaranteed sell right there.
I would buy it, and I don't even play my
well, it's a guaranteed sell to the companies, to the studios. I mean, they're going to get some sort of check out of that. I mean, like
they do. Xbox Game Pass offers different deals to their developers if they're going to put their games on their Game Pass.
Instead,
they
like
get their money upfront guaranteed.
But instead, like folks are paying like what now, $70 for PS5 games?
Yes,
so they're paying $10 more than the average retail price.
And there's one that's at $100 right now.
Jeez.
I'm just explaining what the man said. I'm not saying I agree with it.
Oh,
I'm
totally.
just telling you what he said.
I think there's this like perception of like brand value going down by offering it day and date, which I know like not all of us agree with, but as far as like Xbox doing day and date, does anyone have any like insight into if that impacts the actual sales of the games for Xbox? Original Seed, do you have?
I don't, because I don't care about I don't care about numbers, like how much they sell. I know they still sell a lot. I know they still play a lot. You can tell by the concurrent players and stuff. All I know is that the studios so far who have used it have come out in favor of it. They like the pricing models. They like that Xbox is able to negotiate with them. So they already have money guaranteed, especially for smaller studios who are obviously all the time ignored by big publishers. Game Pass gives them a chance to actually make money and succeed as artists. So, I mean, I see it as benefits. It's not for everybody. I don't see why. I mean, like, for example, what's that game, Outlaws, which wasn't going to even make a scratch, a dent in anything. came out on Game Pass day one, and because of it, it had so many players already on the service, and so it just became bigger than it had any business being. So there's a lot of pluses, and I just see benefits if you want to go that route.
So Sony's plan, though, what he said in his quote, he was specifically talking about first-party Sony games. So they will still do this for third parties, right?
They'll try. I mean, I guess.
So, like, whatever argument that there might be for, like, diminishing the value of those games is bullshit, because obviously third-party developers don't believe that if they're going to still try to do that, if they're still doing it on Xbox and are going to try to do it on the new PlayStation service as well. So it's really, it's just,
it's double talk. That's all it is. They want their money. They want $70 and they want you to get their service as well. They don't want to, it's a lot of money, man. $120 it's a lot of money,
Yeah, and it seems like, and that's one thing that kind of bothers me, is like they want to have the prestige of like an on-demand service like a Netflix or something, but I don't have to pay for every individual Netflix movie on top of the Netflix subscription itself. Mm-hmm. So that's what really bothers me about all of this in general, is like, okay, so you're talking up all this big game about, it's all going to be digital, you're going to have all these perks and blah, 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 but ultimately, you're still just asking me for money on each and every transaction I'm going to be doing with you, on top of money to use the service in general. So why mess with any of this if you absolutely, positively don't have to? And the only time I ever did was when I tried to play multiplayer games with people. And, you're strong-armed into doing that. But if you're not playing multiplayer games, then fuck it. Why would I pay attention to any of this?
Totally. Simon Stevens with another great comment. Microsoft are playing the long game. They know from, I don't know what this is abbreviated for, XBLG, that they can maintain a huge sub base and keep them. Pauper Sony out here with a flat cap in hand. They just can't afford to do it. Oh my God. Rip.
Pauper. I like that. I like the use of the word pauper.
Flat cap in hand.
Yeah.
Good one.
Xbox Live Gold is pretty much it was what was before Game Pass even existed. It allows you to play online. It was their gatekeeping service, and they also give you free games as well. It's also not included in the numbers charts that you provided to me earlier, and that was another thing why I don't like charts, because they don't give you all the information. When they started adding the Plus members and the PlayStation Now members, and equaling 55 million players on install base. Like if you wanted to include Game Pass gamers, which is 25 million, plus how many Xbox Live Gold members there was before that, or is, that's not integrated to Xbox Ultimate Live. I know it sounds all confusing. It's just saying, like, we don't have those numbers yet. So once you combine those numbers, then we don't know what it is. So I'm just saying these graphs, that's why I don't like graphs.
Yeah, no, I was definitely just trying to pull it up, but like to your point, grain of salt for this information that I'm about to pull up right now, really quick, just so folks in the chat know what we're referring to.
Steven says Netflix didn't make God of War, and I will say they didn't, but Netflix did make Samurai Gourmet, and I enjoyed that a lot more than God of War. So
yeah, I think this was like that perception of IP worth, and giving it day and date. Does it like devalue it a bit? I guess that's like, the argument there that is being made. But yeah, I did want to just show this chart really quick that I shared with everyone. Grain of salt, prefacing for folks. This data was like extrapolated from public sources and then compiled into the charts that we're looking at here. And to Original Seed's point, it's not 100% accurate or true to life to the all online subscribers to Microsoft's online gaming offerings. So this data is kind of skewed because of that. But just looking at the PlayStation Plus subscriber list, like 48 million folks subscribe to it potentially, and resubscribing for another year to one of these 3 tiers that are available. And 100 million folks still owners of PS4 playing actively online as well that you could potentially convert to this service. So that's kind of like, to Sony's credit, I think that they see this as an opportunity to capture more of their user base, to eventually get them incentivized enough to upgrade to a PS5 once the hardware is more readily available. So I think that they're just trying to like ease them in a bit to get more to get not integrated, more integrated into this new ecosystem that they're creating. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of share this chart to give y'all a visual of like some of the subscription counts, but the Xbox ones are a little skewed because they're missing some data.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. So yeah, I'm gonna jump back into the chat to catch up with everyone. Watcher saying another thing about paying a subscription over buying a physical game. What if they take games that you like off the service, etc.? You can't do that with a physical copy. Exactly. I had a bunch of cool cool with huge quotes as far as like games that have been added to streaming services or cloud services and then removed. Like case in point, Persona 5 was removed from the PlayStation subscription service as well, and that's a game that I in my personal opinion is a very high value, desirable game to be able to access. So now you're pretty much forcing folks to either acquire a copy either by downloading it or by purchasing it or other illicit means. So yeah, like any thoughts around how streaming services make games more accessible, but they also make it more easy to take it out of your hands or take it away from you.
I agree with that. You know how you they have only games on Game Pass for a limited time, so if you don't get to finish it, then you're kind of out of luck. But the benefit, like I said, with Game Pass is you do get to buy those games at a discount. And if you're going to buy the game already in the first place...
Well, you're not really buying them. You're just leasing them.
No, but I'm saying with Game Pass, yeah. But if you're going to buy it already, you still get a point. I mean, you still get outside of Game Pass, you still get a discount with Game Pass to buy the game. So I'm saying if you're going to buy it without Game Pass in the first place, it kind of negates the problem. I don't see the problem. You just look at Game Pass as a renting subscription, I guess, if you want to look at it that way, where you get to try all these games before you actually buy the game.
Yeah, that's one of the issues I have, and that's one of the concerns I have with like the all digital consoles, like the Series S. Like, I think that's awesome, but it's all digital console, so I feel like that's a really good value for right now. But what's it going to be like in the future? Am I going to have a Microsoft Paperweight at that point? Like, will I be able to still use that console and still access to some of my content once it's all said and done?
It depends on the console, I guess, and the manufacturer you put trust in.
Yeah.
Same can go for any company you put trust in with any type of digital product they provide.
Yeah, even with Steam, and even though Steam is more into the point that the game is yours, you pay for the game and the game is yours, and they're gonna save it forever. Sooner or later, Steam is gonna go out or something's gonna happen. So yeah.
But I do come across that problem quite often. I'm playing a game, the Outer Wilds. It's like a space loop exploration game, and it was on Game Pass, and it's been on there twice, off and on. But I bought it because I got hooked on it when it was on Game Pass, and then I couldn't play it anymore. And so I ended up buying it afterwards for like $10. And the same thing for like Metro Last Light, not Last Light, whatever the last one that came out. Exodus, yeah. I first played it on Game Pass when it came out day one, and I played it. I didn't get to pass it though because I played so many games that when I went back to go play it, thinking I owned it, I didn't own it. I was like, what the hell? What happened to my game? And I was like, oh shoot, it was a freaking Game Pass game. But it happens to me so often. But I mean, I bought it like for $6 on sale recently. So
look at that.
You know what I mean? It just depends.
Well, I'll tell you, that never happened with me on my copy of Shining Force 3.
No,
which I'm still playing. I've been playing it ever since I graduated high school.
I saw your tweet about Shining Force 3 and Dragon Force. I had Dragon Force on the Dreamcast, the
Saturn.
Yeah. They broke into my house.
Oh shit!
What?
It was
bastards.
I talked about it, but it was dramatic. There were neighborhood, because I grew up in a little rough neighborhood, but there were neighborhood kids. And what ended up happening is about 3:00, my grandpa came home from work. I live with my grandpa and grandma, and he met one of these guys at the door, and they asked, am I home? And he's like, what? And then he pushed against them, and when he went inside the house, 2 other guys ran out through like the windows and stuff, and they had my freaking console in hand. So pretty much like they're in the act of stealing everything when he got there, so it was just a mess. Jeez. And like, luckily they dropped the console, but they took a bunch of games and stuff, but everything's all broken, and I was all devastated. And I loved my Dreamcast. That was like my money that I saved so much to get. I got that instead of a PlayStation at the time. and it was just like it was devastating. From then on, I just never looked back.
I think you just explained the origin story of your love for digital.
Yes, we got him.
All right, we now understand.
Yes.
I don't want to own nothing no more.
I wanted to jump into some comments. Zod Rider, a friend of the channel. The problem is physical copies are not complete games anymore. Regardless of if you buy it physically or digitally, it still requires downloading and patches to work out.
Depending on the company.
Right.
Depending on the company. I'm sorry because
Yes.
Kirby, day one, I didn't have update. Yeah, I still have an update. I don't know if you guys got an update, but I put it directly to my console and it's playing amazing with no glitch. And the problem that freaking the Elden Ring was having, it was really minimal. They will have brought a freaking full edition like they always do with every single Soul game. So it's depending on the company. The company is trash. Yeah, they're gonna give you a half done game.
Definitely. And Simon is saying digital makes sense with Game Pass and Spartacus. Prices never go down on the digital storefront, even years on after release. But now you can pay a really low fee and have access to them, which is good. Yeah, no, that always like boggled my mind why digital always remained MSRP while physical would go on sale often. Granted, I know like store shelf space is, it costs money to put stuff on your shelf to sell it. And if it's just sitting there, you're losing money. So you need to get it off your shelf. And that's why sales happen. But yeah, like I never understood why they never matched it to digital at the same time.
Yeah, paying full MSRP prices for like a digital game never sits right with me. No matter what the circumstances are, and
because you're automatically cutting out costs, you don't have to worry about production. The plastic. There's no plastic.
There's so much overhead that is associated with, like, and even just speaking from like the point of view of an industry insider of sorts, like the process that you have to go through for physical manufacturing is a goddamn nightmare. And once you have to start ramping up towards Gold Master, like once you hit that area, like there's no stopping that momentum. So there's a lot of cost associated with getting a game to press. And I understand how, the cost associated with that gets put onto like the pricing of a game once it hits the shelves. But when you eliminate all that with a digital upload, when you're just uploading your game to a service, you should also remove that cost from the MSRP. So that's always sat ill with me.
Tony, do you have any thoughts on like digital MSRP just remaining the same versus like physical? I know like manufacturing troubles is something we all kind of like are in the same community to talk about here and there. But yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on this before we jump into some more comments.
As I understood it, I thought they were actually matching the digital price to the physical price and not the other way around. It's not like let's say it's $30 physical, so you're like, oh, why is it $30 digital? It's because it's actually $30, and they're lowering the physical price to match the digital price, so they're the same.
In my experience, it's usually not the case. It's usually physical goes on sale a lot more frequently than digital.
Well, I'm talking about before sale. I'm talking about just like the standard price is because
I haven't seen a lot of evidence of that personally.
For sure. And I wanted to read Mike G's comment really quick. Let me pull it up. That Sony guy is making sense. Studios that are looking to make massive games that take years to go to the place where they make the most money, and Game Pass just won't have the real money. Okay, so you're advocating what Jim Ryan, the CEO guy for PlayStation, just pretty much gave a really vague reason why we'll never see day-and-date release.
Like I said, that argument works for maybe third-party studios where they have to rely on certain stuff. But if Sony really believes in this service, I'm saying then their first-party studios are what's going to drive it. And if they don't believe that, they can, then what's the whole point? Is pretty much it.
I also don't know what the actual business deals look like on the developer end. Like, if we're comparing this to something like Netflix, which we mentioned several times before, Netflix will just pay a production company, $30 million or whatever to put their movie on their service, right? And that kind of takes replaces what box office receipts would look like if a movie was released and made $30 million at the box office. Instead of having to go through the rigmarole of putting it into theaters and then getting that return, they just get that money straight up from Netflix or Amazon or whatever.
Yeah,
so
pretty much
it looks like
who can bankroll it. If they can afford to do it, then yeah, they can. So pretty much Sony's in a position where they can't afford to do it then, pay up front and not rely on the sales. Just know that they're going to get it up front.
Simon is saying, I'd like to see digital go more the way of rentals. I liked having the option to rent a game for a week or a month because most gamers are one and done and trade the game in afterwards towards another. And that, because of my own poor experiences as a young person trading in games that I wish I had again, I don't necessarily part with my physical media even after I finish playing it. I'm not the majority. I'm not the average gamer, so yeah, I can only speak for myself. But yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from, Simon. Max Leonards is saying, of the three mentioned here, I like Xbox Game Pass Ultimate because I don't have a console to get. I don't have to have a console to get games out of it. Okay, so the access via PC may be the reason why it's a good value for you too. And Zeno saying the cost of a disc and case is just pennies. Well, the carbon footprint, which we're spreading awareness for on this podcast, is definitely there, Zeno. So just saying.
Actually, for something that I hear, it's really expensive to create a Switch game. To print it out.
Yes, really exactly. Expensive. Switch games are always like $10, $20 more than
Nintendo's usage of cartridges are always more expensive than the discs. But even those pennies for that, they add up when you're shipping out like 200,000 copies of a game. Mm-hmm. And according to Square Enix, that's a meager amount of sales. Like anything less than 30 million is a crushing disappointment for their sales department. So those pennies add up when you're manufacturing all that.
Definitely. And then at least with the cloud-based services, to Watcher's point, it's a good way to sample the game as well. And Original Seed, you did mention it as well. You'd rather have more experiences trying out different games. And the Game Pass does give you that option. So yeah, and you don't have to spend that money or time and space on having actually owning the game in order to try it out.
I don't have to worry about them breaking into my house and stealing my collection.
What a traumatic experience. I apologize for that happening to you, or I'm sorry to hear that happened to you. Super Ace Gamer, the reason why I'm a PC gamer is because I get tired of companies' anti-consumer stuff. Yeah, me being a brand new PC user, I'm definitely reaping the benefits of being able to access a bunch of different games all on one platform in stunning resolution of with full graphic rendering happening in real time as they would on the original consoles. So that is a luxury that I'm now noticing is okay, yeah, now I know why people are always preaching about PC being so amazing versus console, because up till now I've always been a console gamer. And yeah, hey, your average gamer, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I think we're going to be wrapping up in a few. I just want to get through the comments. Everyone is having a blast in the chat. Mike G is saying Game Pass is a pie. The more games added, the less pie each person gets. The model is not sustainable, and Microsoft is relying on their OS sales and other things. They try pushing to push Sony out and then stop.
Good thing Microsoft has about 50% of the money pie in the world. You know what I mean? So Sony is about 5 corporations, and they have a lot of pie. So that's all I'm going to say.
Yes, that's true.
Definitely.
They're makers of the filling.
Yeah, they own the dough. You know what I mean? So it's I ain't tripping.
Exactly. This has been a great conversation. I definitely want to be cognizant of time. We're coming up on the 75-minute mark, and I want to give us enough time to wrap up and give any closing thoughts on the topic or any personal thoughts on what we can expect for the future. Ken, Retro Complex, I would love to hear your closing thoughts on our discussion.
They're gonna keep on pushing digital, and that's what I keep on promoting. Companies like Limited Run and all these people, because at this point that's gonna be the way. We may have to start buying from Limited Run because they're gonna little by little try to dwindle the physical. That's all I have to say.
And Original Seed, any closing thoughts on our discussion?
I think it was a great discussion. Thank you guys for participating. I am pro digital and I am pro physical. I say whatever fits your needs. I love that we have these options, and I do get games from limited run as well, especially when you see those cool ass collections. Like I like to geek out sometimes too, but I like to be limited in my geek outs. So I'm saying it's good for everybody if you want to go digital or physical. You don't get no hate from me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Xander, thank you so much for joining our panel. It was a pleasure chatting with you on like an actual topic.
Oh yeah.
What are your closing thoughts on our discussion?
I'm the same way. I'm pro physical and digital. I feel like they're yin and yang. I feel like they both need to exist, especially if we're talking about game preservation. It has to be there. Now, when it comes to the corporate side, I mean, I have like this vision of like a dystopian future where we're not even buying consoles anymore. We're just buying subscription services, you know, and it's just like, and I'm not talking about like, you know, I'm talking about years from now where people are just like, yeah, I got the new PlayStation, you know, streamer, you know, and they just hook their television up or their controller up to a Bluetooth on television, cloud gaming, bada bing, bada boom. But until then, they're going to keep testing the waters, and they're going to keep trying to see how far they can push us, like they did at E3 back in 2013 when they initially announced the Xbox One, and it was a complete disaster. They learned real quick, like, okay, we can't just give them the whole shebang. We just have to like slowly but surely let it ripple and have that effect, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely be keeping an eye on like our any news that is coming up with these streaming announcements, especially with the services and like what games they're offering. So especially as far as like online games for like PS3 that offer or that offer additional what is it? Features? Yeah, features, but they require server backups or like some sort of like server maintenance and things like that. Like I'm wondering if these cloud services are going to put money into that on top of like the money it takes to host those games and provide them through streaming. But yeah, I want to jump to Tony. Thank you so much for joining us, and I want to get your final thoughts on our discussion.
I just want to start by saying I disagree with Xander. We're not going to have a streaming box in the future. My dystopian future, we just jacked streaming the games right into your brain.
Oh yeah, we got the Neuralink.
Oh yeah, Batman Forever, Riddler style, just project.
Right in there. But just like everybody, you know, I am pro-choice. If you want to be a digital collector, collect digitally. If you want physical, get physical. Personally, I like digital. I am one and done. I play a game. I don't go back. I'm always moving forward, so I'm never looking back. I don't care about the old games. I'm not really a retro fan. Sorry, guys. Hate to break it to everybody here, but
single tier. That's totally fine. We're happy to hear you. You know, give your thoughts on this topic for sure. Thank you for joining us.
More retro games for me.
Yes, more for me. Last but not least, Devin, friend of the channel. Thank you so much for joining us and offering your takes on this topic. What are your closing thoughts on it?
I mean, thanks for inviting me. It was a great discussion. It just seems like it's another step towards our bleak dystopian future where we will all eventually just become permanent serfs to the ownership class. We will own nothing. We will have subscription services for our television, our games. We will have subscription service for our meals. We will go to Burger King and subscribe to the King's menu, where we will have we'll pay $25 a month and then have access to one combo meal a day.
I will pay.
And people will be for it. Probably me too.
I cannot wait.
There will be a rivalry between that and Popeye's Chicken.
Oh my god!
Their subscription services. You know, I mean, and there will be a subscription service for cars. That's just the way things are going, and it makes at least a little more sense for video games than, you know, some of the other things I'm joking about, but will probably become real here sooner or later. But, you know, at the end of the day, I am a retro gamer, and the prospect of dipping back into those old PlayStation games ultimately is too appealing to me for me to hate on their announcement entirely. So just a soup song hate, not too much, just a little bit, just a teensy amount, but I'm probably still going to end up signing up for it anyways.
This is what I love about these panels, because like a lot of times the perception of someone's take on a topic could be like totally like black and white, like, oh, they're totally like against this, they're, you know, like shitting all over it, they've got nothing but hot takes on it, and or if someone's like, oh, if they're overly supportive of it, or they say something mildly like supportive of it, they're like, oh, they're a Sony fanboy, like, oh, blah. But if you actually sit down and talk to them, like how we're doing right now, like everyone's sort of like more like, you know, more like willing to like, you know, say, yeah, no, it's not perfect, you know, it's not great, like it can improve in X, Y, and Z ways, but yeah, like it's and it's not the most ideal solution for accessing every game ever, but it's there. So like, what are we going to do about it now that, like, you know, it's made its presence known? And that's what I like, is like this discourse that these panels create about, like, you know, the gaming community, because they find middle ground in, like, you know, parts where like we can actually like agree on, and like and not everyone has like just like these really like, you know, very like binary, you know, positions on how they feel about a certain brand or things like that. Like most folks are like Original Seed, like you're a consumer of Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo products, but you're still very critical of all of them, which I appreciate. So yeah,
they can all get the elbow.
Yes, they can all get these hands. But yeah, this has been a great convo again. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating and coming through to chat. Thank you to the chat for bringing up some amazing topics and questions as well. So I'll go ahead and play the outro music. Feel free to excuse yourselves from StreamYard. And thank you, everyone, again to the chat. I'll go ahead and play the outro music. And this has been episode 29 of the Glimmercast. It's signing out, and have a great evening. Take care, y'all. Bye.